What's good, y'all? It's your boys Awake, and we're here with a new segment that I'm gonna start calling Lyric Breakdown. All right, so what I'm gonna do in this segment is I'm gonna take verses or songs that are really important to me or stuff that I just really like in my catalog, and I just wanna give you guys a little breakdown of the lyrics and what some of them mean and what I was thinking when I was writing it. I just think that a lot of my lyrics, because I'm a very lyric-driven rapper. I like to paint pictures and tell stories and be really descriptive and wordplay and references and similes and metaphors and all that type of craft of writing rhymes is really important to me. It's something that I think it was the first thing that I really loved about making music, was being able to write this really elaborate or really simple poetry, but to give it such a deeper meaning and to take on different characters and take on different personalities. I think that was probably one of the biggest things that attracted me to rap music. Is just my love for literature, for reading and writing, and it just gave me a really nice outlet to kind of expand on my creative ideas and just your imagination. It really helps you tap into your imagination and tell real life stories or stories that you've made up or stories that you've seen. I think that's kind of the beauty of what hip hop and what rap is, and writing rhymes in particular. And that's what attracted me the most to making music, and that's kind of what's inspired this new segment here. I'm gonna get into this song here. It's called Gold, and it's from my 2020 album, which is titled There's a Lot Going On. The reason I picked this song to break down first is because it's just a really important song to me, to who I am, my personality. I give a lot of insight to a lot of my thought processes, especially dealing with death. That's kind of what this song is really about. It's about death of family and people that I've known in the past, but it's also about the death of a certain mind state and a certain lifestyle that maybe I was living at the time. So I guess before I get into the big breakdown, I kind of want to just give a little setup for how the song came together. When I was a teenager, I was in a rap group by the name of Third Wish. It was me and a couple of friends of mine. We made a lot of music. We put out 7 mixtapes, and we split in 2014. But we were working on music at the time that we split. There was a song that we did that was never released. It was called Eulogy, and this song was just very I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's about it was about death, but it was about a lot of self-reflection, a lot of I think the first bar that I wrote for that particular verse was I killed my old ways, rest in peace, right? So that kind of gives you that kind of sets the tone for what the rest of the verse is going to sound like. And to me, I wrote this verse when I was about 19, and it was just a really, really special verse where I really did a deep dive into death and funerals and just kind of what I think death represents and what it's a topic of music that I think a lot of artists have touched on throughout time. But I think the way that I did it at that time, particularly because I was so young, I had never done anything like that. So, fast forward to 2020 when I'm working on this album, I just knew that the song, my verse in particular, was just too important to never come out. There was some really, really deep things that I said in the verse that I felt like I just needed to express it. I needed to put that verse out because it was really important to me. So what I did was I established that I wanted to have a beat switch up. So took a couple beats from my boy Icy Beats and just picked 2 beats that I felt sounded good together, right? So I took the second beat and the verse that was from the 2014 song, and I put that verse onto that second beat. So the structure of how the song is going to end is already there. But what I had to do from that point was write another verse to this other beat that I feel will transition into this next verse and this next beat seamlessly and well. I think beat switches are something that are very ambitious for rappers. You can only do beat switches when you're really, really locked into what you're saying. You're really locked into the beats. You're really locked into how the beat is going to transition. I think all of these things have to be taken into consideration before you write the song. So that's kind of where I started. So I took the first beat, and I knew that I was going to be writing about death, and I knew that I was going to be getting very introspective on my career and my life. So I just decided to kind of, craft this first verse in a way that just introduces you to this next verse. So let's go ahead and get into the actual lyrics of the song. We start off with dreams of living life better than I have been. Hoping the younger generation never call me a has-been. I used to hold my validation in how many people clapping. Felt like I was wounded in action. Yeah, so that's me kind of just establishing what the rest of the verse is gonna be like, and a little bit of my insecurities, talking about how, especially when you're doing music, I feel like you kind of hold your validation in the audience's hand, right? And some rappers don't. Some rappers don't give a fuck, but I think a lot of artists and musicians, we really do care about people liking our stuff. We put music out so that people can gravitate towards it, people can relate towards it, people can see their own story inside of it. And I think sometimes, especially just because this whole album was really about me trying to let go of the struggle, trying to let go of hard times. I'm trying to let go of all this stress and bullshit in my life. So this is kind of me starting off like pretty much just saying, yo, I'm insecure. I might walk around like I don't give a fuck what people think about me, but at the end of the day, what I'm doing, my validation lies in your hands, basically. And it's a very scary thing to do. And sometimes we do it subconsciously, but that's basically how I set the verse, how I set the song off, But do I really give a fuck? Gotta think twice. Part of my other side, another Gemini, bringing genocide, rocking the mic like a propeller fly. Promise if I'm alive and it's not my time, then I'll step aside. Yeah, so then there I am. I'm a Gemini, but I don't know how much stock I really put into, astrology and things like that. I just know that, I'm trying to be clever with the wordplay. I'm trying to be a lyricist, bringing up that I'm a Gemini and just how everybody says the whole two sides thing. I don't know how true that is, but I feel like sometimes as an artist, I definitely feel like I have two sides. There's a side of me that cares what people think, and there's a side of me that doesn't give a fuck. So it's hard. I find myself clashing with myself a lot. And then of course, just me establishing, man, promise if I'm alive and it's not my time, then I'll step aside. Like, that's pretty much just me saying like, hey, if I see the younger people, kind of how I mentioned in the earlier, like the second bar, the younger generation call me a has-been. If I see the younger generation coming up and I see that they're doing their thing and I see that it's their fucking time, then I'll step aside, man. I have no problems with that. I think in the past, I probably definitely was a time where I was really bitter towards certain artists and certain sounding artists. I felt like music had to sound a certain way, especially rap. I felt like rap had to be presented in a certain way, and if it didn't look like that, I was very standoffish, and I think I've just learned a lot from that. So watch the tide flowing with the breeze. Felt like not too long ago was so depressed I couldn't breathe. Death comes in threes, the rats running up for the cheese. Never even had to try to keep it G. Rolling marijuana leaves that I couldn't afford, but somehow always found gold. At the same time, always had a reason to cope. And do I need that just to keep hope? Sound cliche, but this might be the realest shit I ever wrote. Obviously, the last bar being a reference to Tupac's Against All Odds from 7 Day Theory album. Wow. Just kind of evaluating my insecurities, my faults, my flaws. You know, I'm definitely a heavy weed smoker. I've been a heavy weed smoker for a long time now. And I think there was definitely times where, you know, especially living back home, there's not too much money, not making too much money back home. I gotta get fronts from dealers and friends and people that I know. Not being able to afford what you feel like keeps you sane, but then you have to start questioning yourself, like, do you need that to really be sane? So this is really just me unraveling here. I'm really peeling back all of my layers of who I am and my insecurities, and I'm just putting them in front of you, basically. You know, it's very it was hard to write this. It was hard to write this. But I think when you're a true writer, I think it's not difficult to reach deep inside of you and pull these stories out, pull from your insecurities, pull from your hard times, and you're able to create something that I think is beautiful art, man. It's the reason why we do this. It's basically the whole spirit of hip hop, man. From nothing to something. That's what this whole shit is about. So that's really what I'm doing here, against all odds. I used to rap to instrumentals on an iPod. The crowd in unison yelled out, "Oh my God." Tell the haters they can eat a Tide Pod. Again, more introspection, giving you some of my beginnings, giving you a little bit of humor. Might have gone too far. Might as well. I'm high as hell, like somewhere on Mars. The battle wounds didn't kill me, but they left scars, so I'm loading up the rocket just to shoot for the stars. Yeah, you know, that's definitely a very accurate depiction of my mindset and sometimes the things that I go through, things that I've been through. You know, going through life and going through the ups and downs and feeling everything. It leaves you with scars, you know, not physically, but just mentally. You have this pain that you've never really kind of addressed. You don't realize it, but it makes you who you are now, right? I mean, going through all that shit and feeling so frustrated, feeling so down and out brought me to this point, you know, and that's really what that, with those, especially those last two bars right there, you know, it's basically just me saying, look at what I've been through. Look at what I've made it through. I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to shoot as high as I possibly can, and we'll see where I end up. All I needed was a clean slate to create. Can I get an amen if you can relate? Put the old me in the flame to cremate. Freeze frame, things change. Oh, wait. This is the part of the verse where I told myself, okay, this is where this needs to be the transition into that earlier verse that I was telling you guys about from 2014. This is where I said, okay, how am I going to make this? They're basically two different songs, but I need to figure out a way to make them one, basically. So these last 4 bars, what did that? You know, I'm talking about how, yeah, I went through all these hard times, went through all these rough times, but now that I don't have to deal with any of that shit anymore, I finally have, it's like an open canvas, you know, I can just create something now. You know, I don't have to worry about being stressed out and trying to figure out how I'm going to live and how I'm going to survive. It's like, yo, all I need to worry about is creating something. And in order to do that, you have to let go of the past. You have to let go of what hurt you and what you feel has held you back, what you feel has hindered this creativity that you've newly stumbled upon. I think that these 4 bars specifically really represent that. They really represent the transition of letting the past go and looking forward to a clean future. This is where the beat changes, and this is where this next verse is from 2014. I wrote this when I was 19 years old, and it's really deep stuff. So check this out. Killed my old ways, rest in peace. To my family that's in the ground deceased. This musical piece was just the least I could do for you. You knew I was far from a priest. Again, here we go, where I like to address two things at one time. So starting off, it's like, killed my old ways, rest in peace. But then the next bar is, to my family that's in the ground deceased. Like I said, more introspection. And at 19 years old, I mean, I had already seen so much death. I had already been through so much. I think it was the first time that I was really talking about it on a song. So yeah, I'm addressing letting the past go and letting all that stress go. But I'm also addressing, you know, the family that I've lost and the people who I feel have helped mold me and shape me into who I am, you know. But the beast on the leash, he was reaching his peak, bit through his chains with his teeth when you was asleep. And then I start to think, what can I really keep when I'm in a suit in a box 6 feet deep? So yeah, the beast on the leash obviously is me. Just kind of feeling like you're hitting that ceiling of just frustration and just being fed up. I think that's really what that bar represents. And then, you know, you go through all that, you hit your boiling point, right? Hit your breaking point, and you do something really drastic. You have some time to step away and think about it, and you question, you know, like this. Even with something like money, you know, you can't take that shit with you, man. You can't take money with you. You can't take your resentment, your feelings, your regrets. You can't take none of that shit with you when you die. So that was kind of the realization I had with that bar. It's just, we do all this shit in our lives and we stress over all this shit when does any of it really even matter? You know, what really matters at the end of the day, I think, is what I'm really asking myself on that bar. One by one, throw the dirt in the hole. One by one, leave a part of their soul. Memories become worth more than gold. Left a piece of your heart down below. Again, piggybacking off of the last bar, when I'm talking about me in a coffin, in a grave, that kind of like, I guess when I wrote that, it sparked my mind to automatically describe a funeral, right? So when you go to a funeral and you have the moment at the cemetery where you walk by and you grab the piece of dirt and you throw it in the hole. I think to anybody else, that's a really simple gesture, right? You're just putting some dirt inside of a hole. But I think the way that I thought about that when I was writing the lyric was, you know, you're not just throwing dirt in this hole. You're throwing a piece of yourself down there. This is like a final goodbye. And so I guess just me mentioning a funeral in the earlier bar just took my mind to describing what a funeral was. And then I think in that moment, when I was visualizing, you know, the throwing of the dirt in the hole, you start to realize that dirt that represents the relationship you had with this person, even though it's only dirt, that shit means a lot. And I guess that was kind of where I came up with the title for the song, Gold, because your memories, when somebody dies, the most valuable thing you got is the memories. And, you know, I don't even know if that's how I was thinking when I wrote it. Like I said, I was 19 and I've been writing rhymes for so long that sometimes moments like that don't really hit me until later on. But I think that's pretty fucking deep for a 19-year-old to say, man. So the story goes, it was stormy and cold. All the habits that I once had now are old. Everything in my mind that I was told. Now greatness is what the angels up in heaven mold. And that's the end of the song right there. And that's kind of just me, I I guess, reflecting on everything that I just said, of just, so the story goes. That's just how it was. And when you're struggling, it seems like shit is stormy, it seems cold. I think you get to a point where you realize where you fucked up, and you realize where you made your mistakes, and you start to remember everything, that all of those people who passed away, and even the people who are living now, start to realize the impact these people had on your lives, and the effect that they had on your upbringing and your mindset, your mentality, the way that you go about life as an adult. These things are shaped and molded as a child. In my case specifically, I don't think that these people were, I don't think they were purposely schooling me to mold me into the artist that I am today. I don't believe that. I don't think that they saw this little kid and said, hey, you're going to be one of the greatest artists ever, and we're going to make sure of that. I don't think they said that. I think what they said was, hey, man, here's this new kid. This is new life. This is a new generation. He's going to have a new perspective of this world. And let's give him another perspective. Let's give him a perspective of the action that nobody else is going to have the advantage of having, right? I feel like things that all the people around me who raised me, the things that they taught me, gave me gave me an advantage. I felt like I had an advantage over people my age growing up, because I really had all these older folk schooling me and really showing me the ropes and just showing me wisdom. And honestly, I guess a part of that has to do with me too, because they could have shown that to any kid, and not any kid would have just accepted that and taken anything away from that. I think a usual kid would have just been like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not really trying to hear what you got to say right now. But I was always one who wanted to listen. I was always one who wanted to observe and take. I'm a sponge, man. Even to this day, I just want to take everything. I want to take my environments in and see what I can what kind of perspective I could provide of these environments, man. And I think that's what music is about. That's what life is about. And that's sometimes, as a musician, and especially when you're trying so hard to market and promote yourself, it's really, really easy to get away from that shit. And I think that's what I've been feeling a lot lately. So I think this video here, doing this video, is kind of helping me out and helping me realize some things about my career and my life, where I'm headed. I think things are looking good so far, man. I think this song right here, this specific piece of writing, I think this is a really good representative of things that I bring to the table when it comes to not just rap music, but music in general. I think these are the kind of perspectives and these are the kind of stories that I bring. And this is the reason why I even started this segment right here, so that people who may listen to my music, they might not catch all of this shit, because I know a lot of people don't listen to music for lyrics, and I completely understand that, and I've accepted that. So I think this little segment right here is pretty cool. So I could just give you guys a little more perspective of what my mentality is like when I'm writing these songs, man. And sometimes I forget, I wrote this a long time ago. So to revisit it and kind of just give it a little bit more meaning, this is really cool to do. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening to my story. I'm definitely going to be doing more of these in the future, so stay tuned. Until then, man, let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know if this provides any more insight to my music, and I'd really love to hear what you guys got to say about it. So I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good one, please. Peace and blessings. Later.